Alright, so now that we've talked about three-dimensional shapes, and we've gotten a good introduction to them, we're going to start with some calculations. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been dealing with area and perimeter, but now that we're moving into three-dimensional shapes, we're going to talk about volume. So your goal for today is I can determine the volume of rectangular prisms. Okay? So first of all, what is volume? Well, we know that area was the space inside of a flat object. Well, volume is the space inside a 3D object. So if this is a square, this would be the area. But this here is a cube or a rectangular prism, and so all of this inside is the volume. And I want you to think about it like a cup. If you fill a cup up, how much water can you put in it? And that is the volume, how much something can hold. Okay? Alright, so in order to sort of introduce us to volume, we're going to do a little activity here with a fish tank and a little goldfish. So it's asking us, what is the area of the base of the aquarium? So here's the base of the aquarium, and it says it's 3 feet by 2 feet, and we know area is base times height, okay? So 3 times 2, and that's going to give us 6 feet squared, okay? That's just the bottom, just the base. What is the height of the aquarium? Well, the height is 2 feet, okay? Fill in the blanks to find the volume. So the volume is going to be the length, 3 feet, times the width, that's how far back it goes, 2 feet, times the height, which is 2 feet. Now, what is 3 times 2? 6, times another 2 is 12. But here's where we're going to get a little bit more complicated than area. Feet times feet times feet. Now we have feet cubed, or feet to the third power. Okay? Because it's feet times feet times feet. With area, we only had feet times feet. So it was feet squared. Now it's feet cubed. So, on your sheet where you have your formulas for volume, go ahead and write down that the formula for volume is length times width times height. And here's a picture here. Length times width times height. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the first example. So here we have a rectangular prism, and all we're going to deal with today are rectangular prisms. There's different formulas for triangular prisms and on and on and on. But we're just going to deal with rectangular prisms for today. As always, I need you to start by writing the formula. So we write the formula this way. Volume equals length times width times height. Okay? So, what is the length? 12 centimeters. What is the width? 10 centimeters. And what is the height? 6 centimeters. So we're going to do 12 times 10 times 6. And because it's all multiplication, we can put it all in the calculator at once. So we're going to get 720 centimeters. And because it's centimeters times centimeters times centimeters, it's going to be centimeters cubed. And that's going to be your final answer. Okay, let's look at example 2. Find the volume of the rectangular prism. Again, we're going to start with writing the formula. Volume equals length times width times height. So here, what is the length? How long is it? Well, it's 5 inches. What is the width? How far back does it go? 5 inches. And what is the height? 5 inches. So in your calculator, you're going to do 5 times 5 times 5. And that's going to give you 125 inches. And because it's inches times inches times inches, inches cubed, or inches to the third power. Either way you say it makes sense. All right, example number 3. Again, we're going to start with our formula. Volume equals length times width times height. What is our length? 10 feet. What is our width? How far back does it go? 4 feet. And what is our height? 6 feet. So again, we're going to do 10 times 4 times 6. That's going to give us 240. And it's going to be feet to the third power. Now I want to pause right here for a minute before we go on. This right here is exactly how I need you to show your work. You are required to show your work, and this is exactly how I want it. I want the formula, and then you can draw 3 lines and put the length times the width times the height, and then your answer. It's not a lot of writing. You can do it, and you are required to do it to show your work. All right, you go ahead and try this one. Remember to show your work. Alright, if you're not done, go ahead and pause the video. I want to talk about this one for a second because it does have some fractions in it. You're going to hear me say this a lot, especially as we get closer to EOGs, but I want you to start to change those fractions into decimals. And they're nothing crazy. 1/2 is 0.5, 1/4 is 0.25. And if you forget what it is, okay, just in your calculator, take 1/2 and do 1 divided by 2, and it'll give you 0.5. If you leave them as fractions, it will still work out to be the exact same answer, but you tend to get more anxious with fractions, and sometimes you tend to mess up more. So changing them to decimals makes it easier for you. So for this one, you should have gotten that the volume is 325 inches cubed. Okay, you try these two. If you're not done, go ahead and pause the video. So over here I drew a picture. It's not the best rectangular prism, but it'll work. Just to label the dimensions properly. And it's important that you know how to draw it because that might be a question that's asked of you. Draw a rectangular prism and label the dimensions according to the word problem. Over here I showed my work. I started with the formula, volume equals length times width times height. My length was 4, my width was 8.5, and my height was 5. Inches times inches times inches, 170 inches to the third power. Okay, you try this last one. Pause the video if you're not done. So for this one, our formula, again, volume equals length times width times height. 3.2 inches times 1.75 inches times 2 inches, and so your volume is 11.2 inches cubed, or to the third power. All right, it's at this point in the video where if you're not understanding it, you need to stop and go back. We're going to get a little bit harder, and what I'm going to do is I'm now going to have a missing dimension. I'm going to give you the volume, but you're going to be missing one of the other parts of the formula. Okay? All right, so I'm going to do this here. So how to find a missing dimension. So here again, I have a normal rectangular prism. I have the length, I have the width, but I'm missing the height. However, I do give you what the volume is. Okay? So we're going to start with our equation. Volume equals length times width times height. All right? Then I'm going to plug in the information that I have. I have the volume equals, I have the length, I have the width, and I'm missing the height. Ask yourself, what can you simplify? Well, you can do 6 times 4. Okay? So 84 equals 24h. And now you should recognize that automatically as a one-step equation. You box your variable, and you divide both sides by 24. These will cancel, and you should get a height of 3.5 meters. Now, when you're finding a missing dimension, it's not going to be to the third power because it's just one of the sides of the shape. It's not the final volume. And that's very important to know, and you guys did a really good job with that when it came to area. Okay? So remember, when you're finding the volume, it's cubed. When you're finding a missing dimension, it's not cubed or squared. Let's look at another example. So here again, we have a rectangular prism. We have the length of 11. We have the width of 2, but we do not know the height. However, it does give us the volume, 165 feet to the third power. So we start with our formula. Volume equals length times width times height. We plug in the information that we have. 165 equals 11 times 2 times h. Let's simplify that 11 times 2, and we get 165 equals 22h. And now we just have a one-step equation. So we're going to box the variable, divide by 22 on both sides. These guys cancel, and we're left with h equals 7.5, and this should say feet, not meters. And it's not cubed because it's just one of the sides. All right, let's try some examples. I know this says you try, but we're going to do it together. Okay? So we have the length, we have the width, but we're missing the height. So here we go. Oh, and it tells us our volume is 162. So we have volume equals length times width times height. So 162 equals, our length is 4.5, our width is 4, and we don't know the height. So 162 equals 4.5 times 4 is 18. H. Now we're going to box the variable, divide both sides by what's attached to it, and we're left with 162 divided by 18, so h equals 9 inches. And again, it's not cubed because we're just finding the missing side. We already have the volume. All right, you do this one on your own since it's the last one. Remember to write the formula. Alright, pause the video if you're not done. You should get volume equals length times width times height. The volume is 94.5 equals 7 times W times 3. When you simplify that, you get 21W. You solve your one-step equation, and you should get the width is 4.5 kilometers. Alright, that is the end of this video, the end of volume with rectangular prisms. Rewind if you need to, ask me questions in class, and we will do a lot of practice.